Here's the thing I believe about people my age. We are the children of Hogwarts, and more than anything, we just want to be sorted. And I had no idea that this book had a subtitle until I picked up the paperback version of it. Anyway, this is my April wrap-up, and I'm also going to tell you what's going on for May. Since I'm quoting this book, I'm going to start with it first. I don't even remember what order I read these books in. I think I started the month off with another book, which I'll get to in a second. But we'll begin with Sourdough by Sloan. This is a reread for me. This is about a young woman who is in the tech industry, and she moves from Michigan-ish area and goes to California to take a new job for a robotics company, and she helps them make armatures for basic tasks, simple things. But her life is super busy, so she gets hooked on to a local takeout restaurant, and when they up and leave, well, they don't just up and leave, they tell her, hey, we have to leave due to an immigration issue. They got to return to Europe to deal with that. So they offer her their sourdough starter so basically she can take care of it. They teach her how to maintain it, and part of their quirky little routine is to play music that is the music of the Moz, which is their tribe, or it's their culture. Our heroine Lois begins baking bread, and the first time she makes it, and every time she makes it, these little faces appear on the dough itself, which is creepy and charming in a way. It's weird. But anyway, she ends up going on an adventure basically just because of bread. She starts manufacturing it for work, and she starts selling it, and yada yada yada. As a part of the trending quarantine task, a lot of people are trying to cultivate their own sourdough starter, which I think is cool and I really want to. This book is only going to encourage that behavior even further, whether or not you're in quarantine. So beware. You can practically smell the bread baking off of this book, or as I could. It's still a quiet book, and it's a gentle read it was for me anyway. The first time I actually consumed this book, it was through audiobook. And I think I started this on audio because I just wanted to hear the music, because it is kind of haunting and weird. But and so I do recommend it in that way, but I also think it's really sweet. What I didn't know was that there's actually a San Francisco map here that shows you where all the locations are that she visits in the book. So this is a really sweet book. I originally gave this 4 stars, and I bumped it up to 5 because, you know what? I think I read this about 2 years ago, and I really haven't stopped thinking about it. I mean, I stopped thinking, but I think of other things. I'm sorry, book, but I think of it at least like once a month. It brushes my mind, especially every time I go shopping for bread. So, you know, it permeated. The next book I'm going to talk about is actually probably the first book that I finished this month, and it is, I consumed this via audiobook, and I really, really liked it. I picked up the paperbacks because, one, there's only the first 2 audiobooks are available through Hoopla right now, and I'm more in the mood to read this because I think that I would understand it a little bit better. The government system in this book is kind of complicated to me. It's the world and the way the world is structured is, it's not like it seems to be elaborate, but I'm kind of having a hard time understanding who works for whom, and it's just odd. This book follows 3 main characters. Well, the first that we meet is Cyril Dupont. He is a spy for I want to call it a government office. I don't even know if they work for the government or if they're just a separate spy agency, and they're just trying to corrupt the system. So you don't really, I mean, you're rooting for the guy, but whatever. He's in a relationship with a nightclub MC. His name is Aristed, and he is also a smuggler, of people and drugs. He's a drug dealer. He deals with illegal activities, we'll just say that. And he is also not so much friends with, the book also follows one of the other dancers at the nightclub, and her name is Cordelia, and I love Cordelia. She's great. She has a lot of personality. She and Aristide have a ton of personality, and it's just like, what does this man see in the spy? He knows he's a spy too, so it's not like it's a secret. But anyway, Cyril's cover is blown at during a you know, thing. One of those, like, it's not a stakeout. He's trying to pass himself off as someone else to like infiltrate a government body, and now he has to pretend to be a part of that government, and in order to make sure that his relationship stays safe, or at least that the people in his life stay safe, his relationship is going to be over because they're gay, and it is an anti-gay organization. I'm not really sure why it was classified as a fantasy. It is a fantastical world in a way. It's just, it's not a real location, but just feels authentic, and you can practically smell it. It's so gritty and gross and dank and depressing, and I think it's very fitting for the time that we're living in now. Everything feels off and wrong and kind of scary. So this I loved. I gave this, I think I gave it 4.5 stars, and I'm jumping into Armistice this month. I actually am like on chapter 3 right now, and I'm weighing the options of whether or not I want to continue listening to this or if I prefer to read it, because I'm having a hard time focusing on it right at the moment, but I'm also not listening to anything else, so I figured. Next, I finished Kevin Wilson's Nothing to See Here. This book follows a young woman named Lillian and how she goes to work for her friend slash pen pal slash former girlfriend slash former not college roommate. They were prep school roommates. The girls kind of had a falling out in school when one takes the blame for possession of drugs, and of course Lillian, she comes from a lower, I want to call her lower class. She's not lower class, she just doesn't have as much money as Madison. Madison comes from a rich family with connections, and they didn't want to ruin her reputation or, you know, whatever. They could have paid that off too, I'm sure. But nope. But the girls continued to communicate over time, and they remained friends. And a lot of that, you can kind of feel it, but you also feel that Lillian has residual feelings for Madison throughout the book. But Madison, you don't really get her in terms of what she's like as a person. Like, you don't get her inner workings in her head. So she feels more reserved and closed off, and she's married to a man and they have a kid together, and she is respectful of all that because he's trying to run for he's a congressman, he's a state congressman. I think he's trying to get the Secretary of State position or something like that. But anyway, they don't want to ruin his reputation. Well, he has a reputation and they're just trying to soften the blow on it. And part of that is that he has 2 kids with another woman, and these kids spontaneously combust into flames, like whenever they feel like it, I guess. And it's Lillian's task to basically make sure that these kids stay out of the limelight and that they are taken care of. I think it's about 3.5 stars. It's like almost a 4. I think it's well written. It's just there's so much that's left unsaid, and we could have explored so much more. And the book is actually relatively short for me. I would consider it could use another 100 pages and continue on with the story, because it kind of just ends. It leaves you wanting, and I don't think it was complete. It just feels unfinished. And the last book I finished was we're going to end on a high note. We're saved the best for last. Geek Love by Katherine Dunn. I am trying to get a hold of more books by Katherine Dunn because she did a great job of character development and also plot and weaving together two stories that have a really cool parallel. So this book follows, it's actually told through the eyes of, we'll call her the middle child, Ollie, or her stage name is Olympia. Are they Banowski, the Banowski family. So all of the children in this family were purposely bred so that they could become part of the oddity show in the family's carnival. They are traveling carnies and they go around the country and perform. That's all they do. Ollie's telling the story of how her family got around and got along, and about what it was that they did for their day-to-day and how the family business expanded over time and what happened after her brother, her eldest brother, took over the family business. It's basically how they expanded. And it's a really interesting parallel to what would be her modern day when she's about 38. She's about my age now, so she's like in her 30s, late 30s, and she's talking about she's essentially stalking her daughter. Her daughter doesn't know that she exists, or that she doesn't know that she is her mother, and some of the issues that are going on with her daughter kind of parallel things that were happening in her life when she, right towards the end of their carnival. I loved the family dynamics in this book. Ollie is your classic middle child, I would say. As a middle child, I kind of felt for this, but she kind of was an enabler for her brother, her eldest brother, and she understood everybody's side, so she is the best person to tell the story, and it's just such a fascinating look into how the family interacted with one another. If you're looking for something that's bizarre, this is it. If you're looking for something that is kind of, it's not scary horror, but it's got a lot of body horror. So I kind of want to recommend this to people who read Wilder Girls, because especially if you didn't feel satisfied by the ending of that book, this will knock you off your socks or whatever. I've given this 4 stars, 4.5 stars on Goodreads, and I'm tempted to bump this up to 5 because I think I will think of this book often, and I'll probably end up checking it out again, if not actually buying it. This is what you want when you're looking for a good book, so I highly recommend this. So that's everything that I read. Now let's talk about what I'm planning to read. I did mention the second book in the Amberlough dossier, and I just started that. I realize we're in week 2 of May, but I could tell you what I'm planning to read, of which I have finished 2 of the books already. So I'm planning to read the Book of Cully, and you can definitely expect this at the end of next month, or this month, wherever we are. You can expect a review for this book. I actually have a NetGalley review, that NetGalley copy that I meant to review last month, because it is now out, and I will tell you that I highly recommend it. The second book comes out in September, so not a review yet, but I haven't even written my physical review on Goodreads, so we'll get there. And then I'm also planning to finish Break the Bodies, Haunt the Bones, which is a horror novel. I finished this so far. Is it a horror? Yeah, it's paranormal, everything. This book has a lot going on for it. This I have finished. I've also have not finished writing a physical review, and that'll help me with this, I think. But it's also a NetGalley book that I had on my Kindle forever and just completely spaced. And I feel so bad because this book has been out for well over a year. In fact, the paperback just came out in, I think, February. So that I plan on finishing. Other than reads, I will be making a video that is demonstrating how to fix a project from my book. A crafter reached out to me and let me know that I had an illustration error, and I did, but it's a relatively easy fix, and I am going to show you how to do that. So we get to craft on here again, and it's naughty. And other than that, the reason why I've moved my angle, I'm actually working on another book, and I hope to have more information about the actual publishing date on the book and maybe a title. I have no idea what the title is yet. I can just tell you that it's a macrame book, and I'm going to be making bags and belts. So naughty bags and belts, here they come. But I've got two right in the where I normally keep my camera, like angled. I have two projects right here, and then there's another one sitting on a shelf over in the corner. So there was one hanging here for a while, so I'm all over the place. But that's also why it's been taking me forever to like talk on the camera, because I have been burnt out, demotivated. My neck kind of hurts, and because I'm hunched and I'm not used to crafting for hours on end. I'm out of shape. I'm out of knot tying shape. Okay, but anyway, that's my plans for May. But that is it for now. If you've made it this far, congratulations. If you want to hear more from me, please subscribe, and also give this a thumbs up if you were entertained in any capacity, even if you thought it was shitty. This is really nice and positive, because we need that right now. And I can't believe that it's already freaking May. March was the slowest damn month in the world, and then we got April to just go whoop. Anyway, May's probably gonna go whoop because it's already the second week. So I'll be seeing you pretty soon with if not a review, then a naughty video. Bye for now.